here in a second. If you've been watching this show for any length of time now, you've heard an episode or 6 or 7 about the Low Country Ferry, Neil Turner, Turner's Marina, Sea Monkeys Water Sports, the Hilton Head RV Resort, and how specifically Turner and his ferry, and that's Ferry, have negatively impacted the way of life getting to and from Daufuskie Island for residents and visitors of the island. And I'm not talking about those on Hay Point. I'm talking about regular Joe and Jane America that live or work on Daufuskie. I'm talking about any number of the native Gullah and Geechee people of the island that have been there for centuries. And I'm also talking about the people of the Hilton Head RV Resort that have had to endure a extremely strange and odd set of occurrences. Tonight, we're fortunate to have with us one of the property, I believe it's a property owner of the Hilton Head RV Resort, and that's located next door on the same footprint, if you will, in layman's terms, as the Marina, the Sunset Grill, Sea Monkeys Water Sports. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Rusty Carringer to the show. Welcome, Rusty.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. It's good to see you. How was the Labor Day weekend over at the Hilton Head RV Resort?
Well, it was good. The locals, we had a good time, but the parking out front was an absolute disaster, and I'm surprised somebody didn't get hurt.
I'm going to ask you some questions about that. Was I right in saying that you're one of the property owners of the resort?
That's correct. I do own a lot here in the resort.
Okay. Now, are you on the HOA?
I am.
Okay. All right. Are you?
I'm not on the board, but we're all part of the HOA.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't aware of that. Well, let me. I want to go ask you a couple things about the resort, the marina, the ferry, and I deeply appreciate you coming on here tonight. And I'm sure some of the folks that we have, thanks, Leon, we have been watching. Are going to post comments, and I'll put those up on the screen. Hopefully you can see those as we go along. First, I want to know, how has life changed for the people of the Hilton Head RV Resort since Neil Turner, Turner's Marina, bought it out, took it over, whatever? How has life changed?
The biggest changes have occurred because the resort first covenants was in 1981. And then those covenants were abandoned somewhere around 1993. They started letting campers, RVs come in with slides over 8 foot in length, pretty much anything that anybody would own today. And that covenant was abandoned until 2020. Now, Turner took over in 2017. But he continued to support the abandoned covenant of letting the RVs come in of any size with the slides and such until 2020, when he reverted back to that abandoned covenant of 1981. So now we can't have any camper in here that has slides that's over 8 foot wide, over 70 feet long. Pretty much any modern day travel trailer will not fit the requirements. And what this has done, we used to have a waiting list at this place for people to come in. I mean, it's a beautiful place. We got one of the best views on the island. It used to be a waiting list. Back in several years ago, well, I can't find it in my notes. Labor Day of 2013, we had 96 lots rented. Labor Day of this year, we had 11.
Whoa.
And Labor Day is a place that you're not going to find reservations in a campground pretty much anywhere in America unless you've made it 6 months out or further. And then to put that on top of our beautiful location we have here is just unbelievable. It's costing our lot owners thousands and thousands of dollars a year in lost revenue because they can't rent their lots. We don't have families coming here anymore because a family is going to require an RV that has slides and has the bigger size. So the families that used to just pile in this place and the kids that you used to see around everywhere, you don't see anymore.
So let's set the stage for those that aren't familiar with camping and RVing and so forth. There are, what is it, like 108 or 9, something like that, lots?
There's 200 lots in here.
Okay.
And usually it fluctuates between 100 and 115 that are available for rental.
Right. And you've got, so you got 200 lots, and people have pole campers, fifth wheelers, motor coaches, Class C, the van cover over, all those different kind of things. I used to have a motor coach, and we came to your place, and it was a waiting list. So so now we know what all this is. So each person owns their lot, their triangle, or whatever the piece of the pie is, correct?
That's correct.
So somebody has to manage all this, and I understand that that's part of Turner's responsibilities. Is he gets a fee or a piece of the rental, and to do that, he's got to manage it, keep it clean, keep it mowed, keep it this and that. Is that correct?
That's correct. When he purchased the marina held the rental rights for our resort. So what they did is when we rent a lot out, he gets 50% of the revenue of that lot rental for supposedly he's supposed to be advertising. He's supposed to be giving people welcome kits, welcoming them into the resort, and none of that is being done any longer. You can look on the internet, read reviews of our resort, and it's just page after page after page of negative reviews.
So he's getting paid a healthy sum. I know it wasn't cheap when I rented the lot. He's getting half of that, and he has to market the place, he has to maintain the place, et cetera, et cetera. But yet he's, in my opinion, in talking to folks like you, he is literally running the place in the ground. Why would he do that? I'm going to give you my opinion here in a little bit, but why would he forego the golden goose of I would want to have every damn lot sold knowing that I got half of the money coming. Why does he not think that way?
That's a great question. Now, he doesn't maintain the property itself. We have our own staff that is here that maintains our property and keeps it looking good. But he's supposed to, show people to their lot, let them know that we have a swimming pool. We found guests that don't even know that we had a pool because he gives them no information. But the big thing here is, the big question is, why is he doing that? Because he's losing half of that rental.
Yeah.
And he is constantly attacking that process with lawsuit after lawsuit. He's constantly appealing, running up unimaginable attorney fees. We have spent over $1 million on attorney fees fighting this whole situation. But what's an even more interesting question, this is the same guy that runs the ferry, and look at the problems he's having there. This is the same guy that they had somebody fall off a boat. Mm-hmm. It's the same guy that has overlooked ADA requirements. Mm-hmm. It's the same guy that reportedly on the news hit a jet ski accident. All of this he's doing, all these attorney fees he's accumulating to fight this. Who's footing the bill? Who can afford to lose as much money on purpose that he is every month and be okay with it?
It just doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't.
Rusty, do you feel, or maybe not you, maybe some other property owners or whatever, do you all feel that he, Neil Turner, and or his associates, employees, partners, all the above, Do you feel like they're harassing the owners of these lots, the people of the RV resort? And if it's felt that he is, why? He's not gaining anything monetarily, which we don't understand why. So is he harassing people, and why would he do that?
Well, he is harassing people, especially people that are vocal about the situation. He also preys on the weaker folks. We've got some elderly folks here that he tends to harass more. He's a keyboard warrior. He loves to harass through emails and things of that nature. He will get up in some people's face and harass them over multiple things, and especially those that speak up, just the same as he's doing to the people that are vocal about the ferry over on Defusky.
We've talked several times on this show. We made this claim several times that it would be possible, if things worked out in a particular way. And hey, I've gone back and I've looked at every single one of his court cases that he says he didn't have. But yes, Neil, sorry. Yes, you do have. Anyway, I've looked at them all, and it's possible that he could actually own the entire property if he were to, run everybody out, hypothetically, and get. I see this first right of refusal that comes up, and I'm not talking about any specific law case because there's a lot of them still in the court system. But am I on the right track that, if people decided, well, I'm not making any money and this is costing me, I'm going to sell it, he gets the first right to buy it. I mean, eventually he could own all of it. Am I right?
Yeah, that's the big perception we have here is that he's trying to lower our property values, kill our rental program, kill our reputation. We were once a top 38 RVs resorts in North America. So that includes Canada and Mexico for Good Sam's. And now we're not even in the list. And he's trying to do that to hopefully force us to sell out or lose money and take pennies on the dollar to leave.
We have a couple of comments here. Mike Talmadge, good to see you, buddy. Who or what entity owns the entire property? I guess how is that deeded? And
okay, the resort is owned by the owners. It's owned by 200 owners, and then we have an HOA that represents us. Turner owns the marina that's out in front of us. We have an easement across his property, which we've had to fight in court. We've got an easement across his property to get into ours to get inside the resort. Now, what Tony has, Neil has, is he has the rental rights. He has the rental rights and the developer rights, which the developer rights, he's never done anything. If anything, it's run down more than any improvements have been made. But the rental rights is what is putting such a clamp on us so far.
Another viewer tonight, Dale Kelsey, good to see you. NT, I'm assuming that means Neil Turner rule. Only talk one-on-one, not to any group. I've had some other folks. Janet, hey, how are you? I read there's another ferry boat for Defusky, but this one doesn't have a toilet. We're going to talk about that. That is the new Queen Jean, I think they call it. So we're talking the same thing here. And some have said, since I've been doing this the last 6 or 7 weeks or whatever, some have said, man, you were nutty for thinking that. And others have come to the same amount, man, that's a brilliant, how did you figure that out? So my thoughts, and this is just my thoughts, again, for those if you didn't hear before, I'll let you know, was that all of Neil Turner's parking problems for the present and for the future, okay, he's got big goals. He wants to, he got the ferry, all these things. And we're even tying in the possibility of this Bay Point project that has got his name on transportation. Anyway, think about the parking problems. And it is historically documented, Rusty, that there are parking problems with that property. I went out there and there was cars parked all over the landscape curbs and down. I mean, it was horrible. So is it a far stretch to say, and this isn't being a conspiracy theorist, but if he owned the entire RV resort, he owned the entire thing, think of the number of parking spaces he would have. I mean, that is total control. You agree?
I absolutely agree, and that is not a far stretch. Parking is an absolute disaster out here. What amazes me is that he's gotten that many business licenses crammed into one small area. How the county ever approved that, because there's supposed to be standards and minimal amount of spaces for each business. And it appears that was just thrown completely out the window. And then we've got Jenkins Island boat dock out here, beautiful pier and place to fish. But if you wanted to bring a family out here to fish, especially on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and pretty much any time during peak season, you're not going to find a place to park for the local residents to go out there and enjoy that pier, because he's using it commercially to park all the people for the businesses over there.
So that brings me to one of the questions I had is about the county dock. It's kind of like beside the marina, so to speak.
Yes.
And I have been told multiple times that he's running a private business or businesses off of this county dock and piece of property. Is that what we're talking about the same thing?
Yes. And mainly the parking. It's the parking that he uses, and it just makes it impossible for, if a guy wanted to take his family down, his son, his daughter, spend a day fishing with them, he's not going to have anywhere to park.
Okay. Talk about the restaurant, Sunset Grill, one of the hidden gems around here. I mean, people, I remember, I've been here for 30-some years, and people would say, Sunset Grill? You ain't going to a marina to eat. Well, you're missing something pretty good. Anyway, it's my understanding, in talking to different people throughout this series, that he is making life, and I know you're not speaking for the restaurant, he's making life pure hell for those people. I understand he's making life a pure hell for people to use the public restroom. I have heard from folks in doing this that he doesn't want to allow the restaurant to have any parking spots. I mean, why? How does he? I mean, the old story would be, how do you live with yourself? But I mean, how does he and his legal team? How do they come up with this garbage? I mean, how does this work?
That's a good question. The restaurant is actually a tenant of the HOA here. We own the building that the restaurant is in, but we're even in a current fight with him right now, him saying that with his rental rights goes the rights to our mail room, our gym, the upstairs owner's lounge, and the restaurant. And when those rental rights were given to use the restrooms downstairs, they didn't have all these businesses in here.
Yeah.
They didn't have the jet ski rentals and the parasailing and 3 different boat rental clubs. And those restrooms are not designed in any way, shape, or form to hold the amount of traffic that is coming through there. And then you've got people that are coming off those boats for boat rentals, and they're coming in, they're intoxicated, they're having to walk through a private section at our pool, and they're starting to cause problems with the owners. Getting in the pool when it's clearly, signs are clearly up saying it's trespassing, that it's a private pool. But we've had to call the sheriff's department out here. It's a mess. The restaurant has actually had to stop serving lunch because of the parking issues.
One of the days, I came out there twice, and I'll go into that here in a second. One of the days I was out there, I went there specifically midday to see the restaurant and just get a feel. I couldn't park. You go around the little building, I guess whatever that building is, check-in or whatever. You go around it, and there was nowhere to park. And in the middle, there was something. I think there was vehicles there, or maybe there was ski doos there, something, I don't remember. Anyway, I couldn't park. I don't understand. What about the laundry? I know you all have a laundry area. Is that embattled in any kind of controversy?
Well, we've got the boat clubs are taking dirty rags, dirty mops, and putting in our machines, and it's messing up people's clothes when they're washing. Those things were never intended for commercial use. It was intended for the resort's guests only, and for the people down that are staying overnight at the dock. But it was not meant for commercial rags with grease and wax and all that. And yes, that's because causing a mess.
And you all have, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you all have taken him to court as well as he taking other people to court. But you all have taken him to court for things like this. Is that right?
Yes. And the biggest thing that gets me is how he's allowed to just continue and continue. He's even appealed a document that he signed himself.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the courts are letting him get by with it, and it just continues to run up the cost of legal expenses.
Interesting. What is the communication process between, it should be the HOA and Neil Turner or his attorney or whatever, but what's the official communication process?
The official communication is he will not talk to you in a group. He says to email him. He will schedule an appointment and talk to you one-on-one. Because he owns a few lots in the resort, he's allowed to come to our annual meeting.
Mm-hmm.
He stands back there in our annual meeting and gets to listen to what we are planning to do legally to try to help ourselves get out of the situation. And if someone looks at him and says, "Hey, Neil, would you like to provide any input?" He says, "This is not the time or place. If anybody would like to send me an email and schedule an appointment." And to me, that's the perfect time and place to air it out and try to work out some differences. But he won't do it.
Do you all have an executive committee?
No, we just have our board for the HOA.
It would seem to me like you all would have the ability to go into, the county certainly does, into an executive session where it's only the board members and, discuss legal issues, contractual issues.
Yes, they do that weekly.
That he should, if he's not on the board, I don't believe he should be a part of that. Is he in there too, or where's that going?
He's not in for those meetings. That is board members only. He just gets to attend our annual and quarterly meetings when the whole HOA joins in. But the board itself, he's not allowed in that.
So he has representation. You all have representation. Usually, having been in business, I had attorneys that I had on the roll. Attorneys talk to attorneys. Again, not getting into any specifics, but isn't your all's attorney and his attorney? Don't they have? Usually they will work out. Things will get worked out between attorneys in attorney language. Is that not happening?
It's been tried multiple times. We've been in mediation several times. One of the mediations is where he signed the document and then the next day appealed what he signed.
Yeah.
The other mediations, we just cannot come to an agreement with him. It's pretty much his way or the highway. So that is just not worked out.
Unfortunately, for him, that's not how. He may have been getting away with that, but that's not how this process works. I mentioned a minute ago that I had been down there a couple times, 3 times now, and each time I go down there, I get greeted by his little henchman. The first guy always says, "Where are you going?" The next guy says, "What are you doing?" And a couple of times I had a little fun with him and told him, it's none of his effing business what I'm doing. I'm counting rocks. Anyway, I saw cars, like I said, parked up on mounds of grass. Yes, the grass was mowed, but it had, 2 or 3 cars parked up on it. There was some trash laying around the outside. and the parking on the right in front of the restaurant area, and the parking over against the tree line, which I believe is how you would get down to that dock if I look properly. What happens in the evening when people want to go to dinner that don't have a vehicle that are already in the park? People like me, if I want to go to dinner, it tells you how long since I've been down there for dinner, but what happens in the evening?
He's supposed to be out of those parking spaces by 6 o'clock. Does the boats always come back at 6 and make that happen? No. Do we still have problems? Yes. And, you was talking about trash. There's one building he owns that is right inside our entrance. And if you look back pre-2017, that building had beautiful light fixtures on it. It was clean. It was well presented. Now it's got broken light fixtures, no lights working, trees growing out of the gutters, and it looks terrible. It's not something you would see in a first-class resort, but it's his building and we can't do anything about it. Same with the entrance. He doesn't keep it lit properly. We don't even have our sign out at the road. He doesn't even keep it lit.
No, it's not lit. What about this accident? Did the sheriff's department investigate that? Has that gone anywhere?
The DNR came out and looked at it. They investigated it. It certainly didn't turn out the way they told me it would, but he walked away with a fine. I don't know what all transpired for him to walk away with that fine, but we were told it was going to be much more serious than that, but it wasn't.
Rusty, I have reached out to Turner by email, by phone, by text. I even told his two little fellows at the entrance each time that I wanted to see him. I want to talk to him. I want to give I'd love for him to come on the show and explain his side of things. I give everybody an equal amount of time. Actually, I probably give the other side of what my mind is more time than those that are on my side. I think it would be good, don't you, if he wants to be a businessman, wants to be part of the community, well, then he needs to grow up and act like it and come out and talk about, his business. Yes, I am the poster child for capitalism. Don't get me wrong. I hope his businesses flourish like crazy. Not at the cost of other people, though. Not at the cost of people who live there, who own there, or people from Defusky, etc. Don't you think that would be a good idea?
It would be a great idea for him to come on and give his perspective, but it's never going to happen. I don't know if it's from his own volition or if it's outside influencers telling him not to. But I don't see him ever stepping up and speaking out. And in this whole plan, you're absolutely right. Us and Defusky Island, the Hilton Head Harbor RV Resort and Defusky Island, we're collateral damage in what I believe is a bigger plan.
I agree. And something that I was alluding to a minute ago, on his contract, Turner circled, and we showed the contract here. It's not just, hey, take my word for it. We showed it. He circled no, that he hadn't had any, and don't quote me, but legal action as plaintiff or defendant in any lawsuit having to do with the marina or its activities or whatever. As you're well aware, that was a false statement, and because we also put up every single lawsuit. I put it on the screen for people to look at. In my opinion, Rusty, that should disqualify him, since the contract, in my opinion, my little brain opinion, that contract is illegitimate. It has been signed over false pretenses. It is a false story. Without naming any active court battles, are there active court battles with him that he is literally trying to drive people out?
Yes. There's court battles with the association, and then he's even got a few court battles going on with individual owners and attacking them too.
Wow. What, this is obviously a easy question to ask, but it has so many avenues. What is it that the residents, the visitors, the renters, the HOA all the folks therein of the Hilton Head RV Resort, what is it that they would like to see from Turner and or his businesses? What is the end game that would, what would make you all whole or feel better?
Well, in a perfect world, we'd love to get our rental rights back, so that we can get control of our resort back and get it back to the glory it once was. But if that's not possible, at least come to an agreement with us that we can lease to people, or we can rent to people that are that have slides on their campers, that their campers are over 8 foot wide. Modern day campers that people use every day is what we'd like to get back to.
Yeah.
We'd also like, for those that are permanent residents here, there's never been anything said about being a permanent resident here. It's a deeded lot that we own, and we can't even get him to agree to at least grandfather in who's been living here. And like I say, people's been living here since the early 90s, so that's a well-abandoned covenant.
Yeah.
So you can't just turn directions and restart a covenant you abandoned. So we'd like to see that grandfathering. We'd like to see them go back. And our board has voted and approved twice to change the covenants to allow those types of campers in here. But Neil has veto power over that because of his developer rights.
Right.
And both times he said, nope, not going to let you change it.
I have, there are a handful of county council members that are watching this right now. There's also a couple, or one rather, from town of Hilton Head watching this. I'm going to reach out to them, and I'm going to implore to them that they do the right thing and get involved in this. Normally this would be something that, county council person would say, well, let's let this go through the day-to-day actions of the town or the county. That's obviously not working. There needs to be some involvement from an elected official standpoint. I know your all's representative has talked to you. I'm going to talk to her again as well, and some others that are influential in that area. They need to be involved in this because I hope I'm dead wrong, but I see, and I've made this known, and I want to make it known again. What I see, looking at this in big picture terms, I see someone trying to take total control of a piece of property by running other people out and shutting down existing businesses, driving them away. There is no difference in what I see going on than what people complain on Hilton Head that some people are doing to native Gullah Geechee folks, driving them out. There is no difference. Absolutely no difference. That is my opinion. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I absolutely agree. It's a complete attack on us to get us out. We've got some people in here that they bought multiple lots to retire off of, and that be their retirement income. And we've got people that their lot rentals are down 81%, and some lots down 91%. And that is costing them so much money to do that. And now with all these pending lawsuits, if they say, well, let me sell my lot so I can at least try to recover a little, well, that's not happening either. And it really looks like it's a precision attack on us. If it's not, that sure is the appearance.
Hey, without, and that's why I would love to have a conversation with the gentleman, because, all we can go by what we see, and it sure looks like it. You can put lipstick on that pig, but unless you turn the light on, it's always going to be a pig.
Oh yeah.
Rusty Carringer, thank you for coming on the show. You're obviously the voice of reason, and for giving us all an inside look at the Turner's Marina Hilton Head RV Resort problem. And again, I want you to know, and you can take this back to your folks if they're not already watching. We at this channel are committed to seeing this through to get some kind of resolution. We do have a couple of other real quick. Daniela Jordan. Hey, Danielle. Nobody wants to buy into the resort if they don't see any rentals in their future. Absolutely. If it's not going to make money, I don't want anything to do with it. And the constant legal fees. Totally makes sense. Steve has a question. Can the owners lease the lots themselves? Good question.
Yes, we can. We can do that, but he still gets 50% of the revenue. So, and he's even told some of the owners, "Hey, do like so and so over here on one of these other lots and advertise it yourself and get it rented. But you do all the work. He still gets 50% of the rental."
So I take it his two little goons go around with a tablet, and if lot 12 didn't have anybody on it, and they do now, they're looking for their cut, right?
Absolutely.
Rusty, you're a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you so much for being on with us. You're always welcome here on the House of Cards.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all you do.
All right. Thank you, sir. Rusty Carringer, ladies and gentlemen.
Locked and loaded. Let's go. Patriot Radio.